One of the biggest mistakes that people make in Bitcoin is they obsess over the fiat price or the US dollar price of Bitcoin. And this is one of the biggest mindset shifts that I've had in the last couple of years is not measuring things in dollars, but instead measuring things in Bitcoin. And once you kind of step into that world, everything changes. And I think it's important to note the reason for that, because how the world works right now is we measure everything based on the US dollar. Everything around the world is essentially pegged to the US dollar. And that's great in a normal functioning economy. But the problem right now is that it's completely shattered. And when your denominator, in this case being the US dollar, is broken, then everything built on top of that is broken as well. And nothing is accurate. So if you think about it, if you're using the US dollar as your denominator, how? Because we don't know how many US dollars are out there right now. We have a pretty good idea, or they tell us how much they think there is approximately, but we don't know how much there is. It's a complete guess. Try tracking down every single dollar on Earth, both physical and the digital sense. So that's one aspect, is we really have no idea what that bottom number is. Plus, though, we have no idea how much there's going to be next week or in a year from now or 100 years. So when your bottom line is completely shattered, you can't measure anything accurately based on that. And if you compare that to Bitcoin, it's completely different. If you use Bitcoin as your denominator, not only do you know how much there is today in this exact second, but we know how much there's going to be tomorrow and in a year from now and in 100 years from now. So that's a big deal. When you're trying to measure things accurately, you want that bottom line to be solid and predictable and verifiable. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm sure most people watching this video have seen the comparison of housing prices in dollars and in Bitcoin. And even though it seems like our houses are going up in value, it's really just the fiat dollar that's collapsing. So I'm going to show a couple different charts here. The first one's going to be the housing market in dollars and in Bitcoin. And then I'm going to show a similar comparison for the Masters purse. So in, I think, less than 50 days now, the Masters, if you're a golfer, you'll appreciate this analogy, but we're going to look at the Masters purse from 10 years ago versus this year in dollars and Bitcoin. And then we're going to look at salary. So somebody earning a salary and whatever they get after their taxes, expenses, all the stuff, whatever they're left with, we're going to measure that in dollars and Bitcoin and just see where this whole thing's going here. When you look at it this way, it makes a world of difference when you're trying to value Bitcoin instead of looking at the price of Bitcoin in dollars. So let's start here. Let's start with the housing market and just how much it has actually collapsed in real terms, in Bitcoin terms. So you can see here that a house in 2016 the average cost was $288,000, which was approximately 664 Bitcoin. 2020, the average price went up to 329. Everybody's happy. Everybody's houses prices, the values of their houses went up without them putting any work into it or anything. The only thing that happened there was that they just printed a bunch of money. So even though the price went up to 329, it actually dropped significantly in Bitcoin terms. It dropped to 50 or 45 Bitcoin per house. 2024, the average price almost doubled in 8 years to $435,000 per house, the average cost. But in Bitcoin, six Bitcoin. 2025, it looks like this is the average cost. This is what the source I used showed that housing prices are down a little bit from last year in early 2025. So $420,000 for a house, which is now worth only 4 Bitcoin per house. And if we go through our normal Bitcoin cycle here, which a lot of people are expecting in 2025 and 2026, people are calling for 250,000 Bitcoin, 500,000 Bitcoin, $1 million Bitcoin. And myself, I'm kind of under the opinion that I wouldn't be surprised if we hit $1 million within this cycle in Bitcoin. It wouldn't have to do anything extraordinary. It would just be following its normal cycles. Plus, you factor in now that you have Larry Fink here with BlackRock, you have Michael Saylor with Strategy, and you have all these different countries and states and other companies, public companies who are buying Bitcoin. So just in a normal cycle without all of that, we should be at about $1 million, maybe $2 million this cycle. So I did an estimation here of just, I would say a conservative guess for $500,000 Bitcoin in 2027. And I'm guessing the housing prices might go up, might go down a little bit. I used $450,000 per house, which at that point would be 0.9 of a Bitcoin. So we've seen it go from 664 to 45 to 6 to 4, and possibly, again, this is just based on historical performance, less than 1 Bitcoin for a house, which is absolutely insane. Especially somebody there who had the same house in 2016, worth less than $300,000. And in the last 10 years, it has pretty much doubled. So everybody's kind of feeling good about that. Their house value has gone up. But the problem with that is, in that type of environment, in a very inflationary environment, if you were to sell that house because you had a big profit on it because of money printing, whenever you go to buy a house, it's going to cost just as much, if not more. So it's a complete illusion when you're measuring things in dollars. That's why it's very important to look at it in Bitcoin. So let's go down. That's a really good analogy. I think that's one that really hit home with me, and I think would do the same to a lot of people out there. But let's look at the Masters now. So in 2015, 10 years ago, Jordan Spieth won the Masters. And for that, he won $1.8 million. That was the purse. That was his take home of the purse, I guess I should say. At the time, the Bitcoin price was approximately $420. And so Spieth, if he converted all of his winnings into Bitcoin, he would have had 4,274 Bitcoin. And I wish I would have got the value of that today. So I could do it right now, actually. So if Spieth would have converted that to Bitcoin the day he won the Masters back in April of 2015, he would have about, whoa, that's a big number, 418 million. $418 million. That would have been a pretty nice win. I don't think he did. But anyways, let's go to the important part here. So let's say that this is actually going to be the 2025 here one. I don't know why that says 24. I'm living in the wrong year here. 2025 Masters. So they're estimating it's about $3.6 million. The winner of this year's Masters is going to win $3.6 million. So you can see there, in 10 years, the purse for the winner has doubled. It's not because there's a lot more people watching the Masters. It's not because there's a whole bunch more sponsors. It's because their dollar is sinking. It's losing value every single day. And it's very apparent there. And kind of what led to this whole discussion for me was I was actually watching Mr. Beast, Beast Games. And the winner of Mr. Beast Games won $10 million. And that's the biggest prize purse in television history. It was on Netflix, but same kind of thing. So $10 million, that's the new standard for a game show. And if you think back, I'm kind of dating myself here, and I hate the fact that I even have to say that now, but back in like the early 2000s or late 90s, there was a show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And that was like a big deal that somebody who wins the game show is going to win $1 million. And you fast forward 20 years, and that's kind of like a joke. That the biggest purse back then was $1 million, and today it's 10 million. So what that suggests to me is that that dollar is worth 10% what it is today. So a dollar back in 2000 is worth 10% purchasing power today. So that's what kind of triggered this whole thought experiment for me. And the reason why I wanted to make this video, I probably should have said this at the start, but I'm not very good at YouTube. So anyways, whoever wins this, let's say Tiger Woods wins it, he's going to take home $3.6 million, a 2x from 10 years ago. Pretty big deal if you're living in fiat world. So the price of Bitcoin now is $98,000. So if Spieth wins again this year, or whoever wins the Masters this year, they're only going to get 36 Bitcoin for that. So even though the purse doubled in dollar terms since 2015, it's less than 10% in Bitcoin terms. Wild. And the last one that I wanted to share here, let's, can we move this over a little bit? Let's try. Yep. All right. So I think this one's going to be, this one's going to melt some minds, I think. So let's look at a salary. Let's say that somebody has been working at the same job for the last 10 years, starting in 2015. And obviously the salary of $1,000 is not an accurate one. But what I'm trying to get at there is, let's say that in a perfect world, there's somebody who makes an average salary out there and they're spending less than they earn. And every month they get about $1,000 take home. I know, non-existent nowadays because of inflation and the wages that have not been keeping up with inflation. But let's pretend that that's the case. So somebody back in 2015, they go to their job. They are fairly new to it, unexperienced, but they're doing their best. And they get $1,000. That's kind of their take home at the end of every month. So the Bitcoin price back in 2015 was $254. So every month with a take-home disposable income of $1,000, they could have purchased 393 million sats or 3.93 Bitcoin every month. Fast forward a couple of years, I did this every 2 years. So maybe we can skip a couple of years because you can see it on screen. But 4 years later, the guy's doing, or girl, they're doing the exact same job, exact same work, exerting the exact same energy, and they get $1,000 left over. Maybe they got, maybe they got a wage increase, maybe they got a raise, but inflation and the cost of living probably increased by about the same. So let's say that they have that $1,000. They did the exact same job, exact same amount of effort, except now Bitcoin's gone up a little bit to $3,800. So now every month they only get 25 million sats for that, for the exact same work, even though their salary might have gone up. They get about, I don't know, less than 10% of what they did before, just 4 years later in Bitcoin terms. But let's fast forward even further, 2023. This is where things get really crazy. So again, same job, same person, same amount of work. They go to their job, they get $1,000 left over. They decide to put that into Bitcoin, very smart move. And the price of Bitcoin is now $23,000. And I'm actually glad we used 2023 because it was higher in 2021. So it dropped a little bit, but it's still $23,000. So they go to work for the month. They get 4 million sats now, or the equivalent of 0.04 of a Bitcoin. Doing the exact same thing. They got 4 Bitcoin before, and 8 years later, they get 0.04 of a Bitcoin for doing the exact same job in Bitcoin terms. So this year now, with the price being 98,000, they get $1,000. They're happy. Put it into Bitcoin. Except now they only get 1 million sats, or 0.01 of a Bitcoin. And 2027, just like we estimated there from above, we're going to say Bitcoin price is going to be, conservatively $500,000 in 2027. So somebody goes to work, they get $1,000 take home. And now, because Bitcoin's price is $500,000, they get 200,000 sats for that, doing the exact same work. Now they get 200,000 sats for that, or 0.002 of a Bitcoin. And it's just going to keep going in this direction. You can see the trend here, of course, in all of these. You can see the trend. The Bitcoin per job is going down. The sats per job is going down. I mean, it's the same thing. The Bitcoin price is going up and the salary is staying about the same. Maybe you're getting paid more. Maybe you got a raise. But the cost of living, I don't know if you've been to a grocery store lately or paid your utility bills. But I think that $1,000 is pretty much best case for a lot of people right now. So the point of this video, I would say, is it just shows that even though it appears that your house is going up, you're getting paid more, you happen to win the Masters, the purse increases, When you're measuring things in real terms with a proper denominator that's not manipulated, that's known, that's predictable, things look a lot different. And so based on this trend, I would say that my piece of advice here would be that you should be converting not only every dollar you earn in excess of your expenses into Bitcoin, but you should be working as hard as you possibly can, because whatever you're doing in the future, whatever job you're doing or whatever value you're providing to the world, you're going to end up getting less and less and less sats for that. So in other words, there's no better time than today. You have to make hay while the sun is shining. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm interested to know if there's any other comparisons you can think of that we could do a video on in terms of dollars versus Bitcoin terms, because I think that this really helps people see it for what it is. And the last thing I would say here is that there's a pretty big misconception right now within Bitcoin. And that is that because Bitcoin is $100,000 that it's kind of run away from people or out of reach or peaked and people feel like they're too late to it. I think all you have to do is just zoom out a little bit. And people probably thought they were too late back in 2017 when the price of Bitcoin was $1,000. And if you understand the supply and demand dynamic and how this whole thing works within Bitcoin, it is designed to go up forever because it is the true denominator. It is going to reprice every single asset on Earth because, again, it is known. We know how much supply there is today. It's predictable. We know how much supply there's going to be tomorrow and in 100 years from now. And it's verifiable. We can't verify how many dollars are out there. Where can you find a website where you could verify how many dollars are in circulation right now? How many are under mattresses or have been lost or whatever? Try verifying the amount of US dollars out there, but you can with Bitcoin anytime. And actually, we can look right now. Let's go to timechaincalendar.com and I'll show you just for fun as we close out the video here. By the way, I want to do something kind of special here for the people who are, I just decided this on the fly here, but you can see, I'll come back to that in a second, but you can see here that the supply right now is 19.82 million Bitcoin, which is about 94%. So everybody knows that there's going to be 21 million Bitcoin, but that's going to take about 120 years to play out. But currently today, you can see that 19.82 million of the 21 million is about 94%. So again, you can verify everything on the Bitcoin network. It is completely transparent, verifiable, and predictable. And those are very important metrics to use when you're trying to measure things and value things in the world. So this is what I'm going to say, because it is Sunday, and I think probably by the time people are watching this, we will have hit this milestone already. But I want to say a couple different things here. So number one, there's been 1.5 million people on this channel, 88 Sats Radio. 1.5 million people have visited this channel. 8,000 people have subscribed. So I just want to say a thank you to everybody, first of all, of the 8,000 people who have and continue to support the show through subscribing, commenting, leaving nice messages, our Zap for Arnie's wallet here. So I want to do something I'd say it's kind of special. It's kind of subjective though. It's up for you to decide. But we are currently at 8,844. That's kind of perfect timing. 8,844 subscribers on the channel. So when we hit 8,888 subscribers on the channel, I'm going to give away that equivalent in sats. Somebody out there is going to win 8,888 sats. And so what you have to do for that is you just have to put in the comments 8888. And I'm going to pick probably on the show Monday. I'm guessing we'll get there by then. And I'll draw on the show live everybody who's left a comment here, who's made it to this far in the video. I want to reward people for not only showing up here, subscribing, but also watching the end of the videos here, because there's kind of a problem in the society right now where nobody wants to watch a video for more than 10 seconds. So I want to applaud you for being here and for sticking with me. So leave a comment. You can say something nice. Anybody who comments on this video is going to be entered in for the 8,888 SAT draw on Monday, assuming we hit it by then. I'm guessing we will, but Monday or Tuesday, I would say. So that's it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this, and consider sending this video to, oh, I just did something really stupid there. Whoops. Consider sending this video to anybody in your life who you think could be, who could benefit from this kind of a mindset shift and really understanding what's happening here, which the fiat system to me is just a complete illusion through and through. So send this to somebody and let them know that you got to start measuring things in real terms and Bitcoin terms. So I hope you're having a great day. Thank you again for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.